Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on the 2011 film Up on Pompey Hill. Now, as you know, From Up on Pompey Hill is a 2001 animated drama film that was directed by Goro Miyazaki, who also did direct the film Tales from Earthsea, and pretty much, much making this the second Ghibli film that he worked on. Now, it's also meant to be based on the 1980 manga series of this of something of a similar name. And the premise of the film is meant to be about Yumi, who is meant to be a student attending high school while living at a boarding house, basically tending to the tenants, making sure to do the meals, and pretty much lives in the port city of Yokohama in Japan. And we kind of see how her mother is a medical student studying abroad in the United States. And we kind of see how Yumi raises the flags as a message: pray for safer voyages. One day, she ends up meeting a young student, Nana Sean, who is basically the school newspaper president, as well as him with some other students trying to save their clubhouse from being demolished. And I have to admit, I do like Sean's character. He's basically headstrong, does what he thinks is right, and you can kind of tell they don't make him too reckless, but more of a guy with a good heart. And throughout the movie, we see how Yumi, her friends, and the other students band together to save something they care about from being torn down. And throughout it, we see how Yumi and Sean get to know each other, and as soon as they get to know each other, they learn more things about their past that is connected to Sean. And we kind of see how Sean wants to put the pieces together, the same with Yumi. And I would say the movie, much like Whisper from the Heart, does seem to copy itself a little bit, but differently. I think the point of Whisper from the Heart is more about becoming a better writer and following your goals into becoming better. Well, from Pompey Hill, on Pompey Hill, is mostly about trying to save something you care about, as well as trying to learn more about your roots and where you're really from. And I have to admit, the movie really does show this, because it's more about Sean and Yumi putting the pieces together to find out more about each other. And it's interesting that we got a film seeing how friends band together to save something they care about from being demolished, which is quite relevant to this day. And there were moments from the film I would have expected, like having a group of other students wanting to have it demolished for a better center, and have it with a war between two students. This really could have been an interesting idea. And I would say that, unlike Tales from Earthsea, that is a mixed feelings with some Ghibli fans. I think when it was directed by Goro Miyazaki, as well as the screenplay being done by his dad, you can tell they really put a lot more trust with each other and were able to give a solid film by working together. And since this movie is meant to take place in 1963, you can really tell they keep the old nostalgia of Japan still intact, without anything too fancy. And when they kind of got the more classical music, they really know how to bring that nostalgia in. And I think that really does work. And I would say the film's message has basically two things like I said. Keeping something you love from being torn down, as well as finding more truth about your roots and your backgrounds, which I think does a good job. But I do admit there are some similarities from Whisper from the Heart that feels like I'm watching it, but it's slightly altered. But it still didn't stop me from enjoying the movie. So I think From Up on Pompey Hill waved its flag and gave a pretty good, solid, and decent film. So I think this one deserves 2 thumbs ups. Still good and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.